Welcome to the video, guys. As some of you might know, there has been a big debate going on surrounding cancel culture, mainly because of what's been happening to J.K. Rowling surrounding a tweet she made a few weeks ago. But in the last week or so, it has really gained traction to the point where Piers Morgan has picked up on it. Now, I'm sure most of you are sitting there saying these two talking about cancel culture is rather hypocritical, considering they have both taken part in it before now, and I would expect Owen Jones openly calls for it almost every day, anytime someone thinks different to he does. I mean, he blocked me on Twitter, having never actually interacted with the guy, so that just goes to show what sort of person he really is. Not to mention, he was a die-hard Corbynista and Labour supporter, so that also doesn't go down too well for him either. Now, before we get into it, I will be going live later tonight, so I hope to see some of you there. Going forward, I will be moving live streams over to Twitch. While Twitch is mainly for gamers, a lot of gamers actually think like we do, so it is an untapped resource to get them involved and hopefully move things the way we want, rather than the way they are going at the moment, of course, spurred on by the media. Now, I will still do live streams on this channel from time to time, but they will only be for important events. On Twitch, I will do just general live streams chatting with you guys, maybe the odd gaming one as that's what I have previously used it for, but I want to start bringing more political content over there to expand out onto a different platform, even though they will absolutely hate what I have been doing. I guess that is more reason to jump over there and just rub it in their face, and of course, if they ban me, who actually cares? But now, let's get on with the topic at hand. The hypocrite that is Piers Morgan actually slapped down Owen Jones for supporting cancel culture, as it headlines here in the Express. Piers Morgan has waded into a debate with Owen Jones after the left-winger appeared to support cancel culture, with the Good Morning Britain host warning it would destroy democracy, which is rather funny considering he has taken part in it himself. Take a look at what happened to Jake Heppel, the guy who led the White Lives Matter banner over Burnley when they were playing against Manchester City, which Piers Morgan actively took part in cancelling that guy, his missus, and anyone that might have been connected with it. So Piers Morgan is a blatant hypocrite, as we all know, but we are going to look past that for the moment because obviously he's taking down the snivelling shitweasel that is Owen Jones. The outspoken host warned Labour supporter and left-wing commentator Owen Jones cancel culture, a relatively new term which refers to the withdrawal of support or admiration of someone after an alleged misstep. No, it actually means more than that. It is also cancelling their job, trying to cancel their life, get them kicked out of their house, you know, trying to take them down in every possible way they can. We know this is a very common tactic of the left at the moment. It continues, this is the suppression of freedom of speech. His comments come after Mr. Jones posted on Twitter. Being cancelled all too often means public figures being criticised on Twitter for things they've said. It's ill-defined. No, that is not what it is at all. Cancel culture doesn't just mean public figures on Twitter, celebrities and people like that. It also means normal people who might say something on Twitter that you lot don't like. You then retweet it to your hundreds of thousands of followers who then harass them, contact their employers or clients and try to get them cancelled, as we all know. Owen Jones went on, too often people seem to think freedom of speech means saying things without being challenged by others who are also using their own freedom of speech. No, cancel culture is not about disagreeing with someone's opinion and challenging them on it. Cancel culture is about trying to cancel them because you don't like their opinions, which, last I checked, is more often than not the actual factually correct one that goes against your narrative. So, left-wing losers like Owen Jones try to get you cancelled, as we already know. Piers hit back here, and as we can see by the actual tweet, we might as well just read through them now. Challenging opinions is perfectly fine and indeed essential in any democracy, but being cancelled for having an opinion is the very opposite of freedom of speech. It's suppression of freedom of speech, the kind enforced by fascist dictators. We have all been saying this for years. It's not really that new a term. Cancel culture has been prevalent for a good few years now. And as I've already said, Piers Morgan is one of the advocates of it in normal times, because before now he has taken part in the dogpiling on different people. He's even done it recently, so I really don't understand what he is doing there. He is being an absolute hypocrite, but he is technically right on that, though he needs to take those words and apply it to his own self, if you ask me. Mr. Jones replied to Piers, arguing being a fascist dictator was not the same as people passionately expressing disagreement with things said by public figures. He tweeted, but that's exactly the point. Fascist dictators actually cancel people. They torture, imprison and murder people for having different opinions. That's not the same as people passionately simply expressing disagreement with things said by public figures. That is not what you are trying to do with cancel culture though, is it, Owen Jones? Let's be honest. As Piers Karen Morgan, the ultimate hypocrite, calls out here, destroying people's careers and wrecking their lives for expressing opinions that the woke brigade don't like is a form of fascism, and it has to stop or it will destroy democracy. Which is partially correct, though democracy is just an illusion if you ask me. But keen to have the final word, Piers said cancel culture meant a woke brigade could have the opportunity to destroy people's careers and wreck their lives, which we don't need to hear from Piers Morgan, let's be honest. We all know they go round doing this all the time. Cancel culture is a term which has been growing in popularity in recent months. No, it's been around for a long time. Yous lot are just a bit slow to get on with it. Public figures facing widespread criticism, often termed as being cancelled across social media. It's actually more of a joke than it is something real, but cancel culture is something that can happen, and often does, though less so against actual celebrities. If you ask me, they don't seem to be cancelled half as much as normal people or even certain YouTubers. Count Dankula being one example, for instance, who, ever since he made the hilarious pug video, has been cancelled to the point where he can no longer get a normal job because left-wing losers decide to target the company that has actually employed him. Cancel culture is usually aimed against a celebrity or public figure who has expressed an opinion deemed to be offensive. No, it's really not. It's more often than not, as I've said, against your average everyday person. Your working class Brit is the usual target of these left-wing losers, as we all know. Like I said earlier, Jake Heppel happens to be one of them. Now, before we continue with the article, I have to point out something here. Piers Morgan's highlights. What about his lowlights? I think they should be also on this because the guy is a rampaging scumbag, in my opinion. It comes after 150 public figures, including Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling and Handmaid's Tale author Margaret Atwood, published a letter calling for an end to cancel culture, stating it creates an intolerant climate for free speech, which we have all been saying for a long time now when it's been happening to people like us. Now, these entitled celebrities are getting called out, they don't like it, and decided to back something we have been saying for years now. The letter states the free exchange of information and ideas, the lifeblood of a liberal society, is daily becoming more constricted. While we have come to expect this on the radical right, censoriousness is also spreading more widely in our culture, and intolerance of opposing views, a vogue for public shaming, ostracism, and the tendency to dissolve complex policy issues in a blinding moral certainty. Now, I do find it rather funny that these celebrities don't like cancel culture, as I said, when we have been dealing with it for years. Like I said, Jake Heppel is one of the most recent examples, but there are many. We could literally sit here all day going on about them. And as I said earlier, both Piers Morgan and Owen Jones are both as guilty as each other for taking part in this sort of behaviour. So, well done to Piers for slapping down Owen Jones, but you are a hypocritical fuckpig, in my opinion, and you should change your name to Karen Morgan because you act like a Karen, in my opinion, and most other people's. But as always, I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who supports the channel, and my other social media links are down in the video description if you want to come and support me on Twitter, BitChute, and a variety of other platforms, including my second YouTube channel. As I said, all links are down in the video description.
There is a pattern consistent throughout history of oppressed people turning on the oppressors, slaves against their owners, the peasantry against the feudal barons, colonies, Mr. Verhofstadt, against their empires, and that is why Britain is leaving. And it doesn't matter which language you use, we are going, and we are glad to be going. We're off.